Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father God, thank you for the beginning of a wonderful fall season. We're so very grateful for our police, our fire, our service, and administration. Please keep them, protect them. We also the Hutton family this evening. In your name we pray.
Thank you. Janelle, roll call, please. Everybody with their speakers on, please.
Mr. Hayner?
Here.
Mr. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Smolik?
Here.
Ms. Simons? Here. Mr. Ziegler?
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Ms. Grazia? Here.
Okay, on to, I believe we have a gentleman in here getting promoted. Leave it up to you, Chief.
This is where I get to slide out of the You can.
All right. Thank you all for coming. We've got two people. Dan Sanf will be promoted. Brad Blankenship will be sworn in. We've got a good crowd. Obviously, a lot of good friends and family of those two firefighters. We're going to start out with firefighter Dan. Dan Sanf started with us part-time in 2001. He was hired full-time in 2003. Dan has been extremely active out of our department. He was involved with hazmat team. He was on the HIT team for many years as a hazmat technician, did public education. A lot of the kids in town know Dan as Firefighter Dan. That's how they all grew up, and there's a lot of them in here now. Dan spent a lot of time at the school. He's a CPR instructor, fire inspector. He's our lead person with the Lake County EMA for radiological training and equipment. He handles our SCBAs and our meters, and our guys will attest he's the best meter calibrator east of the Mississippi. We all know it. So recently Dan received a lot of training in peer counseling and mental health support for firefighters through the IAFF, and I couldn't think of a better person than Dan to be that guy and be available for all of our people. Dan's a Kirtland resident. He's experienced, well respected by everybody. I always say we look for good people, teach them how to do the job. Can't find a better person than Dan Sanf. So I look forward to having him as lieutenant. And Dan, if you would come forward and bring your lovely wife or whoever else you would like to come up with you.
Children and their spouse.
Okay.
My best memory of firefighter Sanf was when my daughter had a ring stuck on her finger over at the elementary school, and he was the gentleman that had the benefit of saving the day and cutting that off, so thank you. We're going to do the oath of office now for lieutenant here at the Kirtland Fire Department. Repeat after me. Yes, right hand, raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible, please. I, Daniel R. Sanf,
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter,
the Charter,
the ordinances and resolutions of the City of Kirtland,
the ordinances and the resolutions of the City of Kirtland,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly and impartially
discharge my duties as lieutenant
discharge my duties as lieutenant to the best of my ability. Thank you.
There you go. You want to run? For this day forward, Lieutenant Dan. All right, congratulations. Thank you.
Hey, Dan.
Want to do pictures now or we?
Hey, Dan.
Stick around for a minute. Yeah, go. Yep.
Delicious.
Yep. Stick around for a couple minutes, okay? All right, thank you, Dan and family. Next up, Brad Blankenship. Brad has been with us since 2018 as a part-time firefighter paramedic. Brad was one of our dependables for a couple years. So Brad, while he was part-time, worked on, I want to say, A shift with Captain Catania, and that shift where he trained all the time, became the great firefighter he is today, only to get hired away to North Olmsted. So he was with us in that position. He was offered a job in North Olmsted. He ended up leaving us for 2 years. He stayed on part-time with us, and we were happy to have him. I know he loved it there, and it was probably very hard for him to leave. But when the position opened up here, we were very glad that Brad applied, and we were even happier when he accepted the position after he went through the process. I asked Brad why he wanted to come here full-time, and he said, you know, he liked the Kirtland way of doing things, and he liked how involved we are with the community and how we take care of our residents, and all the other things we do that other departments don't, you know, here in Kirtland. So Brad is going to be one of those guys that can carry that tradition on as we move on. I asked him what kind of things he wanted to do when he worked here, and he's like, Chief, I want to work with kids. I want to work with kids. I go, really? Why do you want to do that? Well, because I am a big kid. I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense. But one thing as far as Brad's character, and this is something Coach Ziegler will understand, Brad was selected to the Kirtland Football All-Decade Team, okay? There's no greater testament to a person's work ethic and being a team player. Brad's that guy. So we're very happy to have Brad with us. So like Dan, Brad is also a Kirtland resident. He's always around. He's here. He's going to be out there in the community. People are going to see him. And again, we're happy to have him. So Brad, if you would like to come up, we'll talk. And you can bring whoever you would like to come up with you.
How are you? Okay.
Welcome back. Okay, raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible, please.
I,
I,
Ms. Lana,
yeah, that's good.
Bradley M. Blankenship,
Bradley M. Blankenship,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
the Charter,
I'm sorry,
the Charter,
the Charter,
the ordinances and resolutions
the ordinance, and the resolutions
of the City of Kirtland,
of the City of Kirtland,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially discharge my duties
and impartially discharge my duties
as full-time firefighter and paramedic
as full-time firefighter and paramedic
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Some good hair.
Thanks.
See where it came from. Congratulations, Brad. Okay, go make the round. And we'll take some quick pictures. I think he's going to take this. Yep. Yep. And one last thing, before we finish up. Will Davidson, step in the door, please, if you're back there. We're talking about our dependables. Will Davidson recently graduated paramedic school, another Kirtland resident working for Kirtland Fire Department. So Will's going to be our new dependable on B shift. We look forward to having him.
You're more than welcome to stay if you like teeth being pulled. Otherwise, you can go out and celebrate the new lieutenant and full-time fireman.
I'd rather be able to get one. That's great sport. I Mayfield one.
We're going long today. Well, I see who the real troopers are in this group today. Seated. That was very nice, thank you. Looking for the reading and approval of the minutes of the August 19th, 2024 work session. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any changes? Discussion on it? Janelle?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons? Yes. Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
For approval for the minutes of the August 19th, 2024 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Simons and Mr. Schultz. Any changes? Janelle?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons? Yes. Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Thank you. On the department reports, Chief Hutton's out. So we'll start with Chief McAllister, please.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. Just a couple things. We submitted our August stats. Those were sent over kind of last minute, but you should have them in your email. We sent over the overtime reports too earlier in the week. That way everybody could kind of see where we're at with our overtime. Police Department's accepting hunting applications, so those are available at the window if anybody wants to come pick them up. Last year we collected 57 applications, 33 deer were harvested, so hunters had a good season. Finally, meeting with the lateral applicant tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be moving forward after our meeting. We're going to send them through a little bit more of the process, and my hope is that we could be making an offer soon after that. But that'll conclude my report, and I'm open for any questions. Oh, want to thank the Viscasills for inviting me out to the local pipe fitters to give a talk on scams, and I was very well received, and it was great to get out and just give that information to their people. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief McAllister. Any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Mr. Fernaro.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry I missed last meeting. I was teaching a class in Virginia, but as always, I want to start out by thanking our staff for we finally finished brush pickup from the storm. I know it was said, but I'd like to thank the fire department, the police department for helping us out. The mayor was out there throwing brush, and all the residents for their patience during that storm. So we just finished the cleanup. We had a tub grinder in today to shred all the stuff we picked up. So a couple weeks behind on the stuff we need to do, but we'll be moving forward. Update on 306 Bridge. They are a few weeks behind, but they're still planning on moving forward and getting that bridge wrapped up. So that's my update. I don't want to take Doug's report, but I'll take a little bit. The road program is going to start in the next week or so, but Doug will fill you in, and that'll be my report.
Thank you, Mr. Fernaro. Any questions for Mr. Fernaro?
When are they actually going to start on Booth Road?
Thanks for asking. That's Doug's report, so I'll take a little bit of it.
That'll be in my report. Immediately.
Talked to the county today. They provided an update. They're talking about starting next week, and they don't know which day yet. Contractor schedule anticipates 6 weeks to complete the Booth Road Bridge. So,
I just wanted to personally thank Joe for being available to secure the playground following the county's removal of the siren, and they left a 20-foot deep hole in the middle of the playground at 7 o'clock at night the day before the kids were coming back to school. And I called Joe, and he showed up and helped secure that and make sure that they came out the next day to fill that hole and prevent a very dangerous situation for the kids. So thank you for doing that, because you had just gotten home, and I was like, I'm so sorry. So thanks.
And thanks again, Mr. Fernaro and the Service Department. Herculean effort getting all that brush. If you guys want to take a look, Joe's got a few pics of the brush that's behind, and they brought a lot back to the Service Department that they didn't chip up, that they just brought back in dump trucks, and they're currently chipping.
To that point, if any resident needs wood chips, now's the time to get them.
We got tons of wood chips we could drop off for you, so thank you so much, Mr. Fernaro. Mr. Courtney.
thank you. Good evening, everybody. Start with the road program. Work should start next week on Forestdale, Westwood, Woodhill area, Monterey as well. Work on Shaw, Thorne, Parkwood, Beechwood, Crestwood, and Elmwood is scheduled to begin on the 19th or on the 18th, but I'm thinking they may start that sooner. We'll see. New crossover culverts have been installed in the Parkwood neighborhood prior to the paving project. And we did take bids on
Excuse
Friday.
me, Mr. Courtney, just cut it real quick. Did you have anything you needed to add for report one?
Chief's got a roll, Joe.
Yeah, I knew we had to get going, so I wasn't sure if you had it.
It's all good.
Okay.
No, our report's out, pretty busy with the storm. Other than that, everything's moving along. Fire truck's moving along.
And you're good with 69 and 70 on the legislation today?
Yes,
Go. Okay.
definite.
Very good, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Sorry, Mr. Courtney. Go right ahead.
Quite all right. We did take bids for the repaving of the community center parking lot on Friday. So you'll likely see that for award at your next meeting. The low bid was submitted by Ohio Paving and Construction in the amount of $87,207.46. That'll take care of the driveway and the main parking lot.
What was that total again for the bid?
Pardon?
And don't forget, out of that, we have a $50,000 leftover grant from the county.
Gotcha.
Is that the entire parking lot? I'm sorry, it's very hard to
That's
hear.
up to the front of the building and the driveway.
Okay.
Okay, so the left side and then the right side by the new bathrooms.
Correct, will not get paid.
Okay.
And when are we reopening the front?
So the reason it's closed right now is that glass is still hanging out of line, you're walking under it. Once the glass is removed, we could open the entrance, and then the work will be to put it back up in a few.
Okay.
Mr. Courtney, did we receive any bids for the parking lot here? Or that wasn't looked at for this year?
Yeah, all the bids were received at City Hall and opened here in this room.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, for the parking lot here?
city's
No, not,
parking
I'm
lot.
sorry, not for the parking lot here, no. Mr. Smolik, 87-207-46.
Thank you. Stick with the noise.
Old Town Sewer improvements, there's a handful of connections, service laterals to be installed on Joseph. Joe and I walked Tuesday with the contractor and reviewed the pavement. Connections should be done by Monday, and they'll start the paving immediately after that. So we're really close to having that one wrapped up. Joe mentioned 306 Bridge and Booth Road Bridge. I'll just state it again. They should start next week, according to the county, and it should take about 6 weeks to complete.
Sorry, the paving in Old Town, you said the connection should be done Monday and then the paving should start next week or the week after?
Likely next week after they get the final connections done.
Thank you.
I had the question regarding the water service that's been for dust control. Has that been utilized yet in that area? Help keep some dust down.
Whenever we get a complaint that there's too much dust, I notify the county and they take care of it. So
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Was there any issues with Hickory Hill at all with the water, with Aqua over there? Did everything went well with that, Hickory? Aqua was in there for the water lines?
yeah, there weren't any issues, not outside the ordinary things you encounter during a construction project, so.
There wasn't, that was all right away. Didn't do much to the street at all there, correct, I believe?
Correct.
But there wasn't much street work done?
Just in the intersection.
Okay, yeah. I saw that strip
They're
coming.
not, so we get it out there. They're
Yeah.
not done. They're waiting for their paving company to come back in. So they're still,
Okay.
the asphalt piece still has to go in.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Thank you. Mr. Slapnicker?
Thank you, Council President Smolik. The August 2024 end of month reports were distributed to council and they have been posted on our website. Currently in the finance, we have our audit is currently ongoing, and actually we'll have one auditor out tomorrow. Previously, we reported on we are participating in the RETA subpoena program. I did receive an email today that approximately 1,059 non-filer letters were mailed. So I haven't had a chance to look back since I got the email today to see where that stands, whether that's high or low, but I just did want to report on that to council. We currently are beginning our insurance renewal for our property and casualty insurance. So once we get that renewal back, we'll get that on council's agenda by the end of the year. We did receive back our Schedule A for our property taxes, so again, that will be on next council agenda to accept those rates. We did go over the current legislation, the new credit card or the updated credit card policy, the new 529 College Advantage Plan, the closeout for the quail and pheasant stormwater drainage projects, and council's acceptance for 2 grants, which I am requesting council pass this evening. We do have other legislation on the agenda related to our holiday vacation and sick time. Those can go 3 readings. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Slepniker. Any questions for Louis?
Louis, last meeting I had requested if you could please create like a mock example of
Yeah.
the inside-outside.
Yep, sorry about that. Actually, that was one more note I had on there. So I am working on it. I'm working with Teresa as well to get something on the website. Actually, I'm looking at kind of adding a few different things for the finance website, just that has our income taxes and property tax and where the money goes and, whether, what percentage goes to the schools and the county and the city. So we are actively working on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, if you can present it to council, because some aren't all that familiar with inside and outside millages.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to understand, and it's very confusing because we only see it once a year.
Yep, you'll have that shortly.
Any other questions for Louis? Thank you, Louis. Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a brief update from the last meeting. Just still dealing with a number of public record requests from obviously the public. One of the 2 different requests, one was from, they both stem from cases that are in, that I'm prosecuting. I just want to essentially make people aware that they're asking for an oath of office from the law director and or prosecutor. And there is none. And the reason is, and they're looking at different statutes, there is no requirement to do it unless our charter says so. Our charter doesn't require it. I take an oath of office when I become an attorney. But what they're looking at are certain code sections, whether it's section 3 of the revised code or section 732, if I'm not mistaken. But the one in chapter 7 of the revised code actually only addresses, I think it's 3 or 4 different types of city formed governments through the statute. If they are one of those, like if you have a commission plan or a city manager plan or a federal plan, some of those require an oath of office. If you are a chartered municipality, not formed by the statute, from the revised code, then an oath is only required if your charter or your ordinances require an oath. Our charter and our ordinances do not specifically require an oath. So I just figure I would put that out there so that people are aware that there's no requirement that one be made. So I just wanted to kind of outline that for you. As it relates to the Chief Nazi case, I know I updated you guys a while ago. His attorney filed a brief to the Supreme Court asking for them to accept jurisdiction. Our attorneys just filed the brief. I had to read through it the other day, arguing against accepting jurisdiction. We feel that the Supreme Court will issue a decision on whether they accept jurisdiction probably by the end of the year. Hopefully, if they don't accept jurisdiction, the case should be over. I did also want to just draw to your attention. I know, Mr. Fenchmaker, I called you in between meetings. I misspoke at the last meeting when I indicated that there was a lengthy discussion about a landscaper and whether there was a contractor's permit issued. As I was reviewing the public record request, I saw the application was filed. I didn't realize, so I had assumed that it was issued. I didn't realize that there was no bond that was submitted with that. So the contractor's permit wasn't issued yet. I am pleased to report that it was in fact issued after the meeting. I just wanted to set the record that I misspoke at the time. I was under the impression it was, but it now is issued. And then lastly, the September 16th meeting, I will not be present for that meeting. I will be out of town at a seminar. However, Mr. Morong, the assistant law director, will be present for that meeting. Him and I are going to switch roles actually. I'll be attending the planning and zoning meeting, and he will be attending council meeting. So at the planning and zoning meeting next week, actually, I will be putting forth, asking them to start the process for amending the fence ordinances as we discussed at the last meeting as well. So aside from all of that, I have nothing further to add unless you have other questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Lello. Any questions for Mr. Lello?
Yeah, I have one, and it's, I've been receiving an ongoing noise complaint by a resident that lives next to the dog park, right? And that's their own recognized state jurisdictional issue. Does the city have the ability to fine them for noise?
I think the first question is whether it's in violation of our noise ordinance.
Let's say it was, for hypothetical purposes. Can the city
We can cite,
fine them? I know, Mayor, I brought this up to you, and I believe you were part of the email. Oh, if you do, then.
without doing research, my interpretation would be that the individual violator is not the state entity, it's the actual person that owns, correct, that animal. And if the harm is occurring on the private property, then that visitor can be cited, if it's in violation of the ordinance. That's without doing research. Off the top of my head, that's what I would venture to guess.
All right, Mayor.
I did talk to the director of the Metro Parks, Paul Pelagi, and he just wanted to assure me that anytime that those types of complaints come in, they seek to address them immediately. In this most recent one, I think the complaint was that people were getting there before sunrise and dogs were barking. So they staged an employee just prior to sunrise, and sure enough, somebody, probably that person that had caused the disturbance those prior few days for the gentleman, did pull in. And as soon as he did, the farm park worker told him that, listen, it doesn't open until 7 o'clock. You're here before sunrise. Please don't do this. Leave at the time. And so he wanted to assure me that the complaints don't go responded to, but and that they take them seriously, and they always do what they can do to remedy the situation if they can really find the person creating the aggravation, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Mr. Lello? Thank you, Matt. Ms. Zeri, any updates for Senior and Community Center?
Good evening, everyone. No formal updates tonight. We just completed our senior summer camp. Every year I do a week-long themed summer camp with different activities and events every day. We had 2 events every day last week, which were very well received and a lot of fun for everyone. I do ask that everyone put on your calendar now our trunk or treat date. So that will be Wednesday, October 23rd. We're advertising it between 6:30 and 8 o'clock for the children. So we will have several locations around the city, City Hall and the library being one, the community center being another. So if you'd like to be a part of that, I think last year we probably got between 250 and 300 children that came. It's always a very, very good time to see the community come out together in late fall. So I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Teresa. Any questions for Ms. Zeri?
The clam bake is on September 27th. And if anyone on council wants to join us, let me know.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions for Teresa? Thank you, Ms. Zeri. Mayor Potter.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. I will try to be brief. Not that I bet any money on it, but I did make a verbal bet that, well, I took the under on the time of this meeting, so I'm going to go really quick here. Maybe you can help me out with that, Mr. Smolik. I would like to see, and I think we talked about this in the work session, R-61, 2, and 3 passed this evening, as well as 67, 8, 9, and 70. Again, we spoke about those during the work session, so if we could, in fact, get those passed tonight, that would be helpful. Also, when you get to your, the committee reports, let's get that Public Utilities Commission meeting on the books. Other than that, I'm open for any question.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for Mayor Potter? Thanks, Mayor. On to Stan, sorry.
I just neglected to add earlier, I apologize. The Records Commission met earlier this evening and passed the proposed records retention schedule. To the best of my knowledge, nothing has been done ever with the city, so I'm pretty happy that we're actually getting something accomplished. So we are going to get that sent down to the Ohio Historical Society for their approval. If they sign off on it, then it goes to the Auditor of State. Once they sign off on it, then we will have the records retention schedule that's approved, and then each department head will then be able to go through all of their old and obsolete records and according to that schedule and start disposing of the appropriate records. So I forgot to update you guys earlier. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. Okay. And we left off with finish with Mayor Potter. No other questions for Mayor Potter, correct? Okay, on to standing committee reports. Any current standing committee reports? Not at this time. Now, special committee reports. I did put out an email for the Utilities Commission meeting on September 28th, I believe it was. 8 a.m. And that is Scott, myself, Mr. Courtney, and Mr. Fernaro will be there too, and Mr. Slapnicker.
I would just raise the point that public notice is going to go out.
Yes.
Is that in fact too early for the residents?
Yeah, because we've got a listing, obviously, of the residents from all those districts that we mail bills out to.
Yeah. Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot, about 150 for the package plants that get billed? Not Templeview. Yeah.
Do we need a little bit more? Should we go into October on that, or September 28th enough time for?
I think it's.
And that's that's up to you guys. What was that, Joe?
Mayor, are you speaking of 8 a.m. in the morning is too early, or September 28th is too early?
8 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, I thought you meant the day. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
I apologize.
Should we go with 9 or 10 then? 10 p.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Same difference. 10 a.m. then. We'll do 10 a.m. on September 28th, and basically this with the brunt of this is going to be is numbers that Mr. Fernaro and Mr. Courtney put together for these. This is for the
It'll be for the upgrades and rate discussion and future discussion about infiltration and inflow.
there's four of them or three? Three systems: Rockwood, Ledgewood, Hickory, and then what Shenandoah was at the other one. The accounts are getting low. The residents pay that quarterly, and we have to look. There's repairs that need to be done, and the funds are getting lower. So we need to address the what needs to be done, and if and how much any increases to those rates.
So the meeting September 28th at 10 a.m. Is everyone in agreement?
Good.
Yes, so there will be a public notice for that meeting, right? And it will be to determine the rates for the premises to be served by the package plants, right?
I have it as upgrades and rate discussion and discussion about infiltration and inflow.
Okay. So that'll be the purpose of the meeting.
Could you say that one more time, please?
Upgrades and rate discussion and future discussions about inflow and infiltration. I'm Scott. I don't talk much at the meetings.
You should hear them after, though. Mr. Fernaro and Mayor Potter?
Yes, sir.
We haven't been this hasn't been addressed in probably, what, 15 years, that there's the last time there was a rate increase, I believe.
It was a while back.
And
2007? Okay, so
yeah,
close
it's been
to.
quite some. I guess my question is, this is going to be an initial meeting. We aren't going to have stuff finalized on this, but this is going to be an initial meeting, correct?
Yeah,
To
so
present?
I'd like a little more direction, because that's pretty broad, and that's gonna be a lot of information, so.
Yeah, there's going to be
I
a
think
lot.
you need a kickoff meeting of maybe we do repairs and maintenance first, and work our way up to replacement,
Okay.
and then you'll have costs for everything in between. So it's not, can't be a one and done meeting, there's a lot of information.
Okay.
So I think,
Just this last storm that we had,
If I could recommend, though, that we keep all of that on as the notice, right? So that it gives the commission the ability to talk about it at those meetings.
I agree. We just might not get through the whole agenda.
Correct.
We won't be setting any cost. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, and like
More
whether
of a
you want to or
discovery.
not, if you know that there's going to be future meetings, I don't know if you want to set another meeting now or have them, every, 2 weeks or whatever it might be.
Guess we need to see how far we get through the first one.
Okay.
see how far we get to the first one, see how many residents show up. Hopefully Saturday morning at 10 o'clock is a good time for residents and we see a good turnout.
Correct, and what you could do at that meeting also is you could say, all right, as the public, was it the
Utilities
the
Commission.
Utilities Commission, you members are there, you can choose the meeting right there, and the purpose of that meeting, and then just communicate it to, to the city so that we could issue the appropriate notice.
And should we do a minutes and also mail those minutes for people who may not have came so that they have that knowledge
Well, they
for
won't be
residents?
approved until the
Okay.
next meeting.
Next week.
So you could, yeah, you could post the draft minutes if you like,
Okay.
yeah.
I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to. 10 a.m. on a Saturday for any of the parents that have flag football, soccer kids. You may end up in a situation where you have a lower turnout because by that point, a lot of the games are happening. So I almost think earlier may be better, but I don't know if you guys want to move it for that. Just bringing it up.
Yeah. I would say at 8 a.m. when we had coffees with council in the early days, Joe, at 9, we were asked by a lot of the residents that would come to those to make them later because 9 was too early.
Let's go to 6 a.m. That way they can make the game.
Different audience, but yeah, I just wanted to.
Correct, different audience, exactly right.
I'll sleep through it, but somebody will make it. Okay, so right now, 10 o'clock, Scott, good? 10 o'clock, September 28th. Okay, and will you need a hand putting those letters together? I could comment if you...
We can handle it.
Oh, okay. I can lick envelopes. I'm good for something. That's about it, so. Okay, so we're all good with that? Okay, now on to correspondence. I don't believe we had any correspondence, Ms. Muscatello, did we?
No.
Okay. To public comments on matters not on the agenda. Open it up to, right ahead.
Sharon Viscasil, 8415 North Locust. I just wanted to thank Chief McAllister for coming and giving the presentation to our retirees group on senior scams. It was well received. They asked a lot of good questions, and he gave a lot of great information and handouts, and I appreciate him taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Right ahead, sir. Just state name and address to start. How are you today?
William Svensson, SVENDSEN, 10822 Preston. I want to thank you, sir, and your service department, people on Oakwood, Crestwood, and Beechwood, where we really got hit with a tornado. As a matter of fact, you were quite right. They made the last pass this morning, and they picked up one piece that I saw that from my house. They did an outstanding job, and thank you for doing what the gang did for us. And fortunately, my house was only 200 feet away from the real devastation, but thank you. I guess this would be also to you, sir. I'm not sure. My question is, there's been a dead tree overhanging Route 6, on the east side of Route 6, no, I should say that, it's Route 6 east. The tree is on the south side at 8318 Chillicothe Road. This is a big ash tree. It's been dead since spring. It never got leaves. It's overhanging 306, or excuse me, overhanging 6. Who is responsible for that tree to be removed?
Generally, and Joe could follow up on it, generally resident.
I'm pretty sure I know the tree you're talking about, and it's on the homeowner. So that tree is, it's the homeowner. That tree is not in our right of way. So we start with sending a letter to that homeowner.
Have they been notified?
They have not. They'll have 10.
Please do that.
I will. They'll have
I
10.
shudder every time I go out the shirt.
They'll have 10 days to take that tree down. If they don't, then the city will do it and put it on the tax.
Thank you very much. But if they haven't been notified, why has that tree been there for 6 months without anybody in this city doing anything about it? And I'm not pointing the finger at you. I'm pointing it at everybody, I think. If we see a dead tree overhanging any of these streets in our community, we ought to be telling somebody. Agree? Because you could be the one going underneath that tree when it finally comes down. That's what I think.
I can probably put in 5 to 6 a year reports on that myself. So we did. I thought we had put that one in on that one. That was the other tree.
That was the other
6,
one.
yeah, back off the
One on
lot that was
306.
clearing out. And I did get your message, and I'll.
So I
I'll
thank you
later
for
on.
getting that one down.
Yeah, and the drainage you called me on 2 days ago.
Well, I got a question on
Yeah, I'll swing by your house on that one.
So please take that under consideration that as a community, I think we're all responsible for dangerous situations and they should be reported. The third thing and the last thing, are there any other projects for the Gildersleeve development other than the crossovers, which they completed today, both of them, I believe they're completed, or pretty well done? Is there anything about piping, swales, disrupting of aprons this year or next year in the future for the drainage in that Gildersleeve development? Yeah, sure. You want me to ask the question again? Okay. Are there any other projects for the Gildersleeve development this year or next year concerning drainage, pipe removal and or replacement, apron tear-ups, swales in front yards? Or is this done now for this drainage problem?
We are done for this year. That is a larger, more regional project that is likely going to be next year design and hopefully construct, but it's not going to impact pavement.
It won't impact what?
The pavement. Because we're going to be repaving this year. We wanted to make sure we got the pipes under the pavement before the new pavement goes down.
The concern is that no one in this neighborhood knows about it except 3 people now. 2 people told me. There's a concern that none of the community, none of the residents have been involved in any of these decisions about removing piping, putting in swales. No one knows what's going on, and they're upset.
Well, I know 2 of those residents we met with on site.
And I'm the 3rd one now, and
You're
I'm
the
ready
third
to
one now.
spread the word that we want to sit down with somebody to find out what on earth is going on here. Because I've lived in my home 58 years at 10822 Crestwood. I've never had a flooding or a problem at the high end of Crestwood. I know there's a problem down at the other end, the north end, but I don't see any reason why anything should be done up at the far end where I live. And I'm not sure you're doing anything, but I would like to see what's in the works for the people along Crestwood. Every house from my house down, we have paid to have pipes put in, dirt to cover them, and catch basins put in. There's only one house left that still has an open drainage on that whole stretch. They're not happy, and I'm not happy that we spent our own money to fill those in, at the request of the city to get permits and get them approved and do it the way the city wanted us to do it. And now we're just hearing, well, maybe we'll tear all that out. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but we want to be part of the discussion.
Understood. At this point, what we have is a concept plan. I shared that concept plan with the two.
I know who
folks
you're
that
talking about, yes.
That we met with on site, and I impressed upon them that it is a concept plan. There has been no detailed design done. We are just starting to study the drainage patterns through there. So that concept plan may show something that's not going to happen. Since that concept plan was drawn, Joe and I have both reviewed that section of Crestwood from Oakwood to Elmwood and have decided it's best not to take that drainage out that people have paid to put in. So that's where we are right now. The project is still, especially on that end, the project is still kind of developing. There's been no detailed design done yet. So the concept plan is exactly what it is, a concept that was done by a firm that we hired to take a 20,000 foot view of the area and what might be done there. So
when could we get involved if we need to get involved?
When the project is more firm on what exactly it is we intend to do, we will start to involve the residents.
So the residents on Crestwood Drive and Oakwood and anybody affected by this can be notified by the city?
We're always open to have everybody come in. We always want to share what we're doing. So that will be done. I think one point, I think your neighbor across the street, you live right on Oakwood.
Angelo's Lake?
We have to fix that problem. So there has to be something done up on that end. We're not going to leave that problem alone and fix the whole area. So
But wouldn't that be done on,
we just looked at it the other day. And like Doug said, we're still looking
that would be
into
going down the other direction though.
It's a possibility. That's what we looked at, to try to get it into the curb and gutter, going the other way.
He does need some work done.
He does.
But you need to talk to him. Don't surprise him, come out there with a front end loader and start tearing his yard apart, please.
Right. When we have something a little more firm to talk about, then we'll.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Svensson, thanks for coming in. Just to give you, Mr. Svensson, just for Rockwood Ledgewood, that's where I'm over at. Give you an example on how drainage projects work. Kevin, when we first got on council, this was being discussed, 8-9 years ago? And they finally got to it, they finally had a plan and did something last year with it completely, 3-4 different plans, I think they were 3-4 different concepts to what it eventually went out to. So it's difficult for the city when they're first looking at it, to the point that they're saying when they're looking at that 20,000 foot view, to put stuff out that they don't even know that, it's going to be the final plan on it. But I will follow up with you as soon as they start getting more firm plans on it, Mr. Svensson. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you much. Thank you much. Any other public comments on agenda items of old business? Or sorry, hold on, that was public comments on matters not on the agenda. Now on to old business. There is no old business. On to new business. Any public comments on agenda items of new business? None at this time. Thank you. Okay, on to ordinance number 24-R-61, a resolution accepting the bid of Mr. Excavator for its work on the concrete sidewalk and ADA compliant ramps at City Hall and declaring an emergency. Mr. Bernard, if you... Oh, sorry. Oh, getting some backtrack.
Thank you.
Mr. Bernard, if you could just, that's going to be the front then, if you want to explain what.
Front walk and 2 back ADA ramps. And hopefully we could get this passed tonight so we could try to get it done before election season.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Joe, you said it doesn't encompass all the concrete surfaces, just 2 ramps and then
2 ramps in the back, most of the front walk, the straight walk going up to the front doors.
are the others just going to be removed? Is it like a little bit of pavement shrinkage, or are we going to have Old concrete next to new concrete there.
On the edges, it'll be old concrete up against new concrete. We didn't have to go all the way down, so we're just addressing the front doors.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this? I believe we wanted to waive this to get Mr. Funaro rolling.
Yes, please.
A second?
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Now we're looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
You get that, Ms. Muscatello?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Thank you. On ordinance number 24-R-62, a resolution ratifying and adopting the city's credit card policy and declaring an emergency. Any discussion on this?
A second?
Motion waived by Mr. Ziegler, second by Ms. Grazia. Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt?
Second.
Mr. Fenstermaker with the second. Any discussion?
Just after, just a point of order, as it relates to the motion and the second, at that point, it should be on the table for discussion. So for example, at the time of
missed the
waiving
first one, did I?
So at the time of waiving the 3 readings, it would be is there any discussion on the waiver of 3
Sorry, I
readings?
missed that one.
No, it's
Gotcha.
okay. So, and just so everyone's aware, it's like that, after the waiver of 3 readings, the sole purpose of that discussion is, should we be waiving 3 readings?
Okay.
Then, once it comes to the declare an emergency and adopt, that discussion is about the merits of that legislation. So,
Backtrack, can we do that?
no, I think there was a motion and a second as it relates
Gotcha,
to
okay.
declare an emergency and
Now we're
adopt.
on to the-
And now it's open up for discussion.
Okay.
Louis, you had mentioned that there was the limit changed and there was a name removed. Is Mrs. Kovalchek no longer an employee of the city of Kirtland?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Yeah, we did have a motion to declare an emergency and adopt and a second, correct? Yeah, okay. Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Okay, on to ordinance number 24-0-63, an ordinance adopting section 254.30 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland regarding voluntary deductions for the Ohio Tuition Trust Authority's College Advantage Savings Plan and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings?
A second that?
Any discussion? None at this time. Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Julie. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Next 3 will be going 3 readings, so we'll just read through the first. Ordinance number 24-0-64, an ordinance amending section 254.02 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland relating to holidays and declaring an emergency. To ordinance number 24-0-65, an ordinance amending section 254.03 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland relating to vacation pay and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 24-0-66, an ordinance amending section 254.06 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland relating to sick leave and declaring an emergency. On to ordinance number 24-R-67, resolution authorizing the closeout of Whale Circle Culvert Replacement Project with Watts Excavating LLC and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second?
Julie and Sue. Any discussion? Questions? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved.
Second that?
Matt and Sue. Any discussion or questions? Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-R-68, a resolution authorizing the closeout of the Pheasant Lane Culvert Replacement Project with Watts Excavating LLC and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second?
Eric and Sue. Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
It's Julie and Ron. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
To ordinance number 24-R-69, a resolution authorizing the city to accept the Ohio Ambulance Transportation Grant from the State of Ohio Office of Budget and Management and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive.
So moved.
Second?
Matt and Sue. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second?
Julie and Sue, thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-R-70, resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency pursuant to the fiscal year 2023 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program to fund the operating and safety program, authorizing the expenditure of the local share and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
So moved.
Second?
Was that Eric and Sue? Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to declare an emergency and to adopt.
So moved?
Second.
Sue and Julie. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello?
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia.
Yes.
Okay, on to council comments. Any council comments at this point? None? Any continuing concerns? Public? Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.